What's up, Bills Mafia? The Buffalo Bills are in need of a true number 2 wide receiver going into the 2024 season. And who could that be? Well, I got one answer for you, and that's Keon Coleman from Florida State. But before we get to that, let's get to that intro.
This is VZ Music.
Welcome to the Mafia Sports Report. I am Tommy. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because I always forget to tell you. Well, Bills Mafia, as you all know, Gabe Davis is gone. He's gone. He's testing out the free agency market, and I don't expect him to be back in Buffalo, and I don't think he expects to be back in Buffalo. I think he did a kind of a farewell video that he put out to Bills Mafia. So listen, he's not coming back, and I like the guy, but he disappointed me last season because I really thought that he would, knowing that it was a contract year, that he would step up to the plate and try to go and just ball out, right? But that's not what Gabe Davis did. Gabe Davis actually took a step back, in my opinion, and he hurt himself as far as getting paid in free agency with his performance this season. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't a guy that's looking for a bag. And I expected 1,000 yards from Gabe Davis this year, and he didn't get that. So we need a true number 2. And by the way, it's not just about really even the yards when it comes to Gabe Davis this past season. It was the lack of communication between him and Josh Allen that all of a sudden was lost, which was really, really odd because I felt like, the first 3 seasons while Gabe Davis was here, I thought Gabe Davis and Josh Allen had a really good connection. I mean, that's how I felt like they were always on the same page. And it just seemed like something happened this year where they just were not on the same page. And a lot of Josh Allen's interceptions came because of the miscommunication between him and Gabe Davis. I just think it got in his head a little bit to Bills Mafia kind of booing him at the end of the season there, which, by the way, isn't right. I don't like that. You don't boo your own players, regardless if they're not having a good season or not. You don't do that. So I don't agree with that. If you're not happy with the player, it is what it is. You don't boo him. You just don't boo him at home. I'm sorry. So anyways, moving on. So the Bills will have 10 draft picks this coming up in this 2024 NFL draft. Now, right now, they're not showing a 3rd round selection, but I do believe we get that for the Tremaine Edmonds signing with the Bears. So we have a 1st round pick, which is the 28th. We have a 2nd round pick. We have a 4th round pick. So I'm not gonna count the 3rd, but believe me, guys, that's probably coming. We have 2 5th round picks. We have a 6th round pick. We have another 6th round pick. We have another 6th round pick, and we got a 7th round pick. We have a lot of picks to work with that we can trade up, trade back if we want more picks. Brandon Beane loves trading back for some reason to pile up more late round picks. You can only keep so many draft picks. So I don't understand why he's piling up so much late round picks when we wind up getting rid of a lot of these guys or cutting them or putting them on the practice squad and they wind up getting picked up anyways from other teams. So if I were Brandon Beane in this draft, you got 2 5th rounds and you got 3 6th round picks. I'm using those picks, guys, to trade up this time. I want playmakers. This is it. The time is now. And I'm not saying, oh, go all in and, go way over the salary cap and get in this nightmare of a hole and sign all these big free agents and just be the New Orleans Saints and be 85 in the red. Not saying that. But what I am saying is the window is starting to somewhat close. Okay, it's halfway down. Josh Allen is still in his prime, but for how much longer will he be in his prime, considering how much we run him, how the abuse he takes every year. If you guys notice, it's 2 years in a row that he's had shoulder problems. That's not good. So we need to start beefing this offense up to go on a real, true playoff run and compete with the Kansas City Chiefs of the world, the Cincinnati Bengals when they're healthy. Because the defense ain't doing it. And right now, guys, the defense right now is depleted because we don't have a lot of guys. They're all free agents. Or they're retiring. So this draft, for me, you go wide receiver your first round pick. You do what you got to do. If you got to trade up because you see a guy you want, like you did with Dalton Kincaid, you do that. And then after that, you stockpile the defense. You go ham on the defense because we need defense. We are out of guys, pretty much. We got one defensive tackle that's signed, Ed Oliver. That's it. Everyone else is a free agent. We need edge rushers right now. AJ Epinesa, he's gone. We don't know what we're going to get out of Von Miller, right, in 2024. Let's hope that we get what we saw when he first signed in 2022, but we don't know that. Shaq Lawson's a free agent. Will he come back on a cheap deal? Maybe. Jordan Phillips is probably retiring. He hinted at it. And he's had so many injuries, I don't even think the Bills would re-sign him anyways. Daquan Jones, now he may come back, but we'll see. Maybe he wants to test the free agent market. He was having a great year up until he got hurt in London. So we're really depleted right now. And Gregory Rousseau, by the way, he took a baby step. I thought he was going to take a giant step. In 2023, he took a baby step. He needs to get better. He has to be better. So right now, and that's just the defensive line. We're not talking about safety, which is Micah Hyde retiring. Right? Now you got Jordan Poyer, 1 year left. That's it. What are we going to do with Trey White at corner? Is he coming back? Are they going to cut him, save some money? Maybe he reworks his contract. They got to extend Rasul Douglas somehow, which I believe they will. Smart thing to do. Is Benford your number 2, or is Trey White your number 2 now? They have a lot of things going on. Who's going to fill in Micah Hyde's spot? It ain't going to be DeMar Hamlin. I can almost promise you that. They got to go through the draft. And we still need depth at that position. Do they re-sign Taylor Rapp? Does he want to come back? Listen, Brandon Beane has his plate full. I think this is probably the biggest offseason for Brandon Beane since he's become GM of the Buffalo Bills. Maybe, you know what? I'll take that back. I'll say 2018 because that was huge for him because he knew he needed a quarterback. He needed to nail that draft, and he did with Josh Allen, Tremaine Edmonds with the first round. And I feel like that's what he needs to do in this 2024 draft. He needs to have that same thinking where it's like, hey, we need to get something going. We need to make some splash draft picks, splash moves, whatever we got to do, trade up. And I believe that is trading up this time. So the reason for this video is I believe Keon Coleman is the guy the Bills should draft with the first selection, the 28th pick. Now, will he be there at 28? I don't know. He may be gone before that. But he's the guy I like. And he could be there because there is some people, some draft experts, which, by the way, a lot of people had, the Seahawks receiver, I'm drawing a blank here, DK Metcalf, they had him as a potential bust, and that's why he was sliding, and he went all the way to round 2, and we had an opportunity to pick him up, and we didn't. right? Because we picked up we winded up picking up Cody Ford, right? A terrible draft pick by Brandon Bean, and yeah, and now we're stuck with it, right? Now we wound up trading Cody Ford, got nothing. DK Metcalf's the star. So don't always go by with what the experts say. Doesn't always mean that they're right. Okay. Now obviously there's people that study these players, and we're gonna get into it. And I got a great video here to show some positives and some negatives on Keon Coleman. Now, once again, players can improve when they get to the NFL. That's what we got coaches for, position coaches, to make these players better. And Brandon Bean, by the way, Brandon Bean loves working with like certain kind of project kind of players, or players that may need a little tweaking or two to get to that level. And believe it or not, he's had players that, like Spencer Brown, who was a project player. Now, mind you, I'm not saying Keon Coleman is a guy that's going to be a true project player. It's going to take him 2 or 3 years to get to be, a really, really good receiver in the NFL. I just think he needs some tweaking to his game that I think he can. That I think our coaching staff is good enough to do to prepare him for the NFL. And I think he will be ready to go year one. I think he will show his skills and what we really need on this team as a true number 2 receiver. So let's get to the highlights here, and then we'll go from there, guys. So let's do it. All right, we'll start with the positives. Here we go. By the way, shout out to this YouTube channel here that did this, and it is. Let me get the name here because I don't want to mess it up. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me get his name for you. Let me get the name of the channel. Man, I feel bad if I don't have the name here. So yeah, the name of the channel is Fall Ball Sports. So shout out to them for doing this video. All right, here we go. I'll turn it down a little bit.
Coleman had one of the most insane highlight reels out of any wideout in college football this year. He seemed to be making some crazy circus catches every single week, and it's easy to see why. He stands at 6'4", 216 pounds, which is the ideal size.
All right, so first of all, that's what sticks out to me right away. 6'4", 215 pounds. More than likely, he's going to gain a little bit more weight when he gets to the NFL. They're going to probably beef him up a little bit, 5 to 10 pounds more muscle, obviously. So he'll probably be, if I had to guess, 6'4", 223, 224, 225, somewhere around there. When the NFL season hits, wherever he lands in the draft. But man, this guy is tall. Let me tell you something. His ability to catch footballs at the high point is unbelievable. And that's something that we need on this team. We absolutely need it. We don't have one of those guys, a 50-50 guy that we could throw to. Stephon Diggs, he can be, but he's also a shorter receiver. We need a taller receiver, especially in the red zone, where we struggle sometimes to find, where Josh Allen struggles sometimes to find a receiver open. We need a guy like that, like a Keon Coleman. So let's get back to this.
For an outside receiver in the NFL, and he was able to use his height to his advantage in college in a couple of different ways. The absolute best part of his game is his contested catch ability. He's able to use his big frame and background as a college basketball player to high point the football over a defender, and he may be the best prospect in winning 50-50 jump balls out of anyone over the past few years.
What did I say? One of the best 50-50 receivers, right? Like you throw it up there, he's going to get it. And we don't have that right now on this team. We absolutely need that on this team. All right, let me get back to it.
His concentration with the ball in the air is very good, and he knows how to control and contort his body very well to put himself in a position to win through contact. Another thing that helps with that is his strong hands. Not only is he able to reach the ball in places that defenders can't get to, but he's also able to hold on to it very well when he gets his hands onto it, even if defenders are swatting at his arm.
So who wasn't good at that? Gabe Davis, right? Gabe Davis had a lot of drops, not very sure-handed. He had moments where he could be sure-handed, but you never know what Gabe Davis you were going to get. Keon Coleman's shown the ability throughout his college career to have really, really good hands. That's something we need in Buffalo because why? We're one of the worst football teams, NFL football teams, at drops. This year, we led the league in drop percentage. That is unacceptable. The last 3 years, we've been in top 5. Top 5. Unacceptable. Last year, I think Stephon Diggs had 8 drop passes. I think this year he had even more. Unacceptable. Gabe Davis, a shitload of drop passes. Dawson Knox. Even Dalton Kincaid had a few drop passes. But I'm gonna give him, give him a pass because he was a rookie and that happens. So you're also dealing with Josh Allen who throws 100 miles per hour. But you got to catch the ball regardless. You're in the NFL now. Ain't no excuse. So this is what I like about his game. We need a sure-handed receiver. And this is him. Let's get back to it.
Arms or trying to jar it loose. His hands were very reliable this year, and he rarely dropped a pass, which is great to see from a young receiver. So we've established that he's big and strong, but to go with that, he's also a pretty good athlete. He's not elite after the catch, but he's capable of juking out a defender or two and fighting for a few extra yards. He's also versatile enough to be a punt returner in the NFL, which is kind of crazy considering his size. He doesn't project to be very good at it, but it's a nice bonus for any team taking him and speaks to his solid athleticism.
So just a heads up, he said he's a pretty good yards after catch. He's actually really good yards after catch. That's one of his strong points. If you go and look at most of his of draft profiles they have on Keon Coleman, that is one of his strong points, is yards after catch. His speed, he's not like a burner, but he's not slow either. I'm very interested to see what he runs at the combine. I'm gonna guess he's like a 4.5 guy, maybe high 4.4, 4.5, somewhere around there. Which is, by the way, that's not slow. Like that's fine. So yeah, let's get back to it.
Beyond contested catches, he's able to utilize his size in a couple of different ways. For example, when he's running routes, he tends to be physical at the point of contact with a defender, which can help throw them off balance and help him win. He also uses his body to box out defenders, which gives the quarterback a pocket to throw the ball where only he can get it. His height and long arms also give him a great catch radius and allows him to bring in passes that aren't perfectly accurate. So all of this sounds very promising.
Which we have a quarterback, a Josh Allen, who doesn't always throw it between the numbers. Some of his passes are a little high, some are low. Josh Allen puts it in funky places sometimes. Sometimes that's on purpose. But this is the guy that can go get it because he has the hands, right? All right, get back to it.
Promising, but what's the catch? Why isn't he a consensus first-round pick at this point? What's stopping everyone from crowning him as an elite prospect? Well, to find out, we'll now need to dive into the negative side of his game.
Oh, the negatives.
He could stand to improve on before going to the NFL.
I watched a lot of film on this guy, by the way. So this is my first time watching this guy's
his size is his
film.
biggest advantage.
So
it also comes with some serious disadvantages that offer concerns about his ability to produce in the NFL, with the main one being his ability to separate. He's not a very strong route runner, and he's not able to cut sharply or turn around on a dime.
Okay, so I've heard this before with Keon Coleman. Separation issues. Though I've watched plenty of film because I'm excited about this receiver. Even if he doesn't get drafted by the Buffalo Bills, I will follow him. And I'm not even an FSU fan. I'm a Hurricanes fan, right? It's all about the U. But I just think this guy's going to be a really, really good receiver in the league. And I don't see separation issues with him. I just don't. Is he Marvin Harrison Jr.? No. You know what I mean? But does he struggle to get separation? No, I don't see that. Now you guys could judge yourself. Go watch the film. Go watch some highlights of him in college. There's plenty of it on YouTube. I don't see a problem with separation. Is he one of the best wide receivers with separation in the draft? No, obviously not. but he's also not bad at separation. So I kind of disagree with his take here on that, but that's okay. Like I said, we all have our own opinions, and this guy has his. So
his movements when running to get open just simply aren't very fluid. And it seems like he rarely catches a pass where there's not a defender draped over him or where he doesn't just get schemed open. With that, he's so good at contested catches that it sometimes feels like he's not even trying to get separation. Some would argue that that's okay since he's been successful with it in college, but we've seen what happens at the next level with jump.
See, I don't agree. Listen, if the guy is sure-handed, if a guy's draped on him, he's going to make the catch. NFL cornerbacks, for the most part, this isn't college. Most corners are on you. And I need a receiver who's sure-handed, unlike Gabe Davis, right? This is the guy we need. So I don't care about like him having this almost 15 yards of separation. I don't need that. I need a guy who's sure-handed, Josh Allen throwing the ball, and he's catching it with a guy draped on him. I'm cool with that. Not him not placing the ball, not finding the ball where the ball's at like Gabe Davis this year, not going up for contested catches like Gabe Davis this year, basically not making a play on the ball. This guy will make a play on the ball every single time with his frame, with his size. He's the guy to throw to. All right, let's get back to it.
Jump ball receivers who can't separate very well. Another thing that offers some concern is his lack of statistical production in college. He had just 658 receiving yards in 2023, and he had 5 games where he went for under 25 yards. That's pretty concerning, and that feels like a natural byproduct of not getting open and rather relying on lower percentage contested catches for the bulk of his production. Some will say that Florida State liked to focus more on the run and had less targets to go around.
Very true.
50% of their plays were passing, which is more than teams like Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, and Oklahoma. So he definitely had enough opportunities, but he just wasn't able to capitalize on them and demand targets. There's a lot to like about Coleman. He's a decent enough athlete, and he really succeeds as a contested catch guy. He'd be the biggest wide receiver on a lot of NFL teams in his first year, and he has the skill set to match it as a jump ball master in the red zone. That's all fine and good, but I still think that he's going to be very limited in the NFL. He doesn't run very good routes and didn't consistently get separation in college, and that's likely to just get worse as he gets to the next level against tougher defenders. I think that he'll have a very defined role as a jump ball receiver, but I don't really see the path for him becoming a true alpha wide receiver 1 at the next level. I think that his reasonable ceiling is to be a player like T. Higgins, and his reasonable floor is to be a player like Kenny Galladay. He's got a similar build to both of those guys, and like we've seen with them, I think that he'll have some big games here and there, but will also disappear quite often. A lot of his production is going to rely.
Let me tell you something. If he becomes T. Higgins, I'll take that all day. That's fine. He's a number 2. We need a number 2 right now. Can he develop into a number 1 in the future? Sure. But we need a number 2 right now. We have a number 1. It's Stephon Diggs. Unless something crazy happens and the Bills find a way to get rid of Stephon Diggs, which I don't see happening because they're not going to eat 30+ million in cap. Unless Diggs is willing to work out some kind of deal with his contract where we can ship him off. But I don't see that happening. Diggs is going to return in 2024, and we need a true number 2. And listen, by the way, guys, if it's not Coleman, and I'm going to have other videos of other receivers out there that I like as well. It's not going to just be about one guy. But it needs to be a bigger type receiver, a 6'3", 6'4" receiver with decent speed and really good hands. That's what we need. That's what we need. A good route runner. Somebody who can obviously get contested catches like Keon Coleman can. That's what we need. That's what we've been missing in Buffalo for a long time. I mean, name the last tall receiver we had here in Buffalo that was a good receiver. What? T.O.? Terrell Owens? Like the last one, So, and before that was probably Eric Moulds, my favorite receiver. I don't know what Stevie Johnson was. I think Stevie Johnson was like 6 foot, I think. I'll have to look that up. But We haven't had that in a long time. Now, we tried to get that in Kelvin Benjamin. If you all remember him, terrible. But he was just lazy and fat, right? And got fatter. And, didn't work out. This is not a receiver who's a who's a Kelvin Benjamin type receiver. He's in shape, right? I actually want him to beef up a little bit. But man, this guy's going to be good in the NFL. I'm telling you all right now. What they said about DK, all the negatives, and I was like, I don't know, man. I think DK is going to be good. And it turned out DK was a beast. And a lot of teams passed on him. And I think a lot of teams could pass on Keon Coleman and make that mistake early. And a team like Buffalo could grab him. And all these teams are going to be kicking themselves down the road because they didn't draft Keon Coleman when they had a chance. That's how I feel about this guy.
On what type of scheme he gets drafted into and whether or not that quarterback can help him play to his strengths like Jordan Travis did at FSU. I'm giving him a mid-second round grade for the draft this year.
Brutal.
I like a lot of what he brings to the table with his physical tools, but he still needs a ton of refinement. And I don't see him being much more than a wide receiver 2 or 3 playing a very specific role in the NFL. When you consider the rest of this draft class, I would obviously rather have the elite guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Romo Dunze over him. But I also think guys like Xavier Legette, Brian Thomas Jr., and Troy Franklin all have very good arguments to be made over him. This year's class of wide receivers is absolutely stacked, and I think that'll lead to him slipping further down the board than most people think at this point. I will say that he has high potential, and this could certainly age poorly. But with a class of wide receivers this good, I don't think that I could justify taking him in the first round if I was a GM. Regardless, he's a super fun player to watch, and I'm excited to see him take the next step in his career and continue to make ridiculous catches look easy.
So, guys, that was a little draft profile on Keon Coleman. Yeah, man, like you said, he may have to eat crow down the road, on his thoughts on Keon Coleman. But I will say this too: the Buffalo Bills have the 28th pick in the first round. It's basically a second round pick, guys. Okay, if Keon Coleman slides and they feel comfortable that they feel that he could be there in the second round, they see somebody else that they want to draft in the first that maybe slid down. I would be up for it, but I really, really want to get our receiver with our first pick, whoever it is, and I'm hoping it's Coleman. But I have other receivers that I'm going to dive deeper into. But they need to draft a receiver with the first pick, in my opinion. And then after that, they need to go defensive heavy. I've been telling everybody my ideal offseason, like what I would just love to happen. Will it? I don't know. But I would absolutely love if, they could go ahead and get a Derrick Henry, first of all, with their big splash free agent signing. By the way, and I know, a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh, we don't have the money. And, Brandon Beane already said, listen, Brandon Beane has said a lot of things and has totally did the opposite. That's one. Two, running backs right now are not getting paid what they used to get paid. We all know this because they're complaining about it. But teams aren't paying running backs a lot of money because they know they can get them in the draft. Now, obviously, Derrick Henry is a different type of beast, right? You don't find a Derrick Henry often in the draft. But with that being said, he is getting older as a player, right? Not a lot of teams are going to be willing to give him this long contract. I expect him, wherever he goes, to probably sign a 3-year deal. And I think that he could be worth around anywhere between $6 to $9 million a season. And that is very reasonable. And I think he still has juice in the tank. He had over 1,400 yards rushing last year. I would take him in a heartbeat. Can you imagine him in the backfield with James Cook, Josh Allen, James Cook, right? Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, James Cook, Stephon Diggs, Keon Coleman, hopefully, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. That is an offense. And then with this offensive line that's only getting better, now that's an offense that could compete in the playoffs. Now you have weapons all over, right? Now you got your 1-2 punch in the backfield instead of two of the same running backs in the backfield. Now you have a change of pace. And I'm telling you guys, it can get done because there's going to be a lot of deals, restructures getting done to sign free agents. We're negative 45 right now. We're 45 in the hole. We all know this. But we also know that Josh Allen's contract's going to get restructured. That's going to save about 20-something million. We know Deion Dawkins probably going to get his contract redone, right? Restructured, extended, whatever. That's going to save some money. We also probably know that Deontay Hardy's going to get probably cut. Naeem Hines is probably going to get cut. That saves about $9 million right there from those two alone. Just those two alone. We don't know what's going to happen with Trey White. There's a lot of money there that could be saved and be used for free agents and obviously the draft. So there's going to be money there, guys. Don't get too caught up with the cap space. And I'm telling you, man, the time is now. Like, Brandon Beane has to stop fucking around. Like, the time is now, and you need to build up. You need to build your offense now. Now. You should have done it years ago, right? At least a year ago. And you kind of ignored it. And I will say, to give him a little credit, in 2023 offseason, he did start working with the offensive line finally. He drafted Osiris Torrance. He got some younger players with McGovern and free agency. Spencer Brown is now working, is now a pretty damn good right tackle in the NFL because now he's healthy. He got the time to work Cromer. So what do you do in this draft? If I'm him too, by the way, for this offensive line, you know that Mitch Morse is probably on his last year. Draft yourself a center, unless you believe in Ryan Bates. Unless you think Ryan Bates is the answer. I don't know. But either way, you got to prepare yourself. And now it's time to bulk up on weapons. Real weapons. Not a one-year player in Trent Sherfield. Not a Deontay Hardy. Who, by the way, he was used correctly when he played with the Saints. Ken Dorsey just totally fumbled it when it came to Deontay Hardy. And I don't know if they're going to keep him. That's why I think he's probably going to be cut. Because he didn't show anything on offense. And he only had one a punt return for a touchdown. And up until that punt return for a touchdown, he was average at best. Fumbled the ball once. You know, the return yards wasn't great. So the question is, do they keep him as just a return guy? Or do they see something with Deontay Hardy where Joe Brady can actually use his strengths on this offense? I don't know. Because right now, we don't have a true burner if he's off the team. He's our only guy. Like, right now, Deontay Hardy is our burner. And he's not even used on offense. So the question is, if they get rid of Hardy, okay. So you got to go through the draft. You draft your, Keon Coleman in the first round. Now you got your big receiver, right? You got your sure-handed receiver. You got your red zone threat right there. Boom. You drafted. Now you got to draft speed, right? You get them in the fourth round. There's a ton of receivers in this draft. A ton. And I think they can get themselves another receiver somewhere in the draft, maybe on day 3, and find themselves a true burner, save some money that way, and you cut Deontay Hardy. And then the rest, you just go stockpile on defense. But right now, you need to concentrate on offense as far as the draft early on, meaning get your receiver first round. Defense. Maybe you throw a receiver in there. Like I said, a burner if you're not going to keep Hardy. Defense. You need safeties. You need corners. You need defensive tackle. You need edge. There's a lot. Free agency. Go get Derrick Henry. That's your big move. Everyone else, do what you did last year. 1-year deals. 1-year prove-it deals. There's a lot of guys out there that will sign for 1 year. We saw that last year. We got Leonard Floyd for 1 year. He had 10.5 sacks. There's going to be guys available that will sign for 1 year because they want to prove that they still have it. And now look, Leonard Floyd is about to get paid. Not going to get paid by us. I don't think so. Because he already said he wants money. Like, this is his last time to get paid. because of his age. He understands this. This is his last go. And I don't think Buffalo is going to be willing to pay what probably he wants or expects. And I don't blame him. He's had 4 seasons in a row where he's had over 9.5 sacks. That's very impressive. And some team is going to be out there going, damn, we need a guy like Leonard Floyd. And I don't think it's going to be us. And that's okay. That's all right. We got Gregory Rousseau who can step up. Right? We got Von Miller returning. We'll see what happens. You draft yourself another edge in the draft somewhere, right? Maybe day 2. You get yourself an edge. Then you sign maybe a Shaq Lawson 1-year deal. So that's how I vision the offseason going, what I would love to see happen. Will it? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Brandon Beane surprises me every offseason, guys. Like, honestly, he really does. So don't always go by what he says in his press conference, because sometimes things change with him. You guys know this. So anyways, I rambled on for about 35 minutes. I appreciate you guys watching. By the way, man, I have an infection in my mouth. I had a teeth removed, got an infection. That's why I have not been posting videos. Last week I was absent because I'm in some serious pain, guys. A little bit better today. I finally got some meds. But man, brutal. I don't wish teeth pain on anyone. It's the worst. Anyways, Bills Mafia, I love you. And as always, go Bills. I'm out of here. Peace.